Greetings, brethren, sistren, and otherin. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Fortress of Bone broadcast, live from the moon, here on No Theoretical Bias on YouTube, live and video upon demand. When last we met, our brave adventurers, Albrecht Alder, Brother Xander, Luther Zeil, and Ranvir Astoria, all trapped in the Necropolis, the city of the dead, run only by the giant bugs, the fiendish ghouls, with the occasional pockets of civilization with the bug folk and the ratkin. Met some interesting individuals last time. Go back and check them out. Had to live through a 2-day sandstorm where they hold up nicely after rescuing sort of halfway, rescuing and somewhat befriending a knight of the Dominion and a guardian of the Dominion who were busy starving to death in the remnants of their lost fortress in the wilds of the Necropolis. They've made some potential small letter A allies here, and got some inroads and some insights into their enemies. So we find them digging their way out of the lost fortress of the Dominion in the Necropolis lands. They've heard some rumors about the surrounding area and are going to dive right in. So, what do y'all do?
So
Personally,
go ahead.
Personally, I want to find that little tinkerer. I think it's a great idea for all of us to do it, but especially me if we go find that.
What's the draw? What's the draw of finding him?
We waste our time, but I mean, what else are we doing?
I meant, what would be the advantage of finding him? Why are you interested in particular?
He might contain something that is known as elemental incense that could really help me out of my motives and ambitions.
Right. Yes, the elemental incense that you are trying to use to appease your as yet nameless spirits. Awesome. All right. So, where do you go? What do you do?
I think we so we waited out the sandstorm and we know the sandstorm's over.
Correct.
And we didn't get smushed. Let's go. I think they said south, right? Something about
Yes, somewhere in the
Okay.
south. Anytime he appears, he comes up from the south. Probably some kind of scavenger or ruin runner, and has been smart enough, strong enough, cagey enough to survive ghoul-infested Badlands. So what do you do?
I mean, it's day out. It is day out, right?
Correct.
All right. I mean, I guess this is as good a time as any.
Mhm.
We probably
Let's
want to
go.
get there before night. So let's say like if it takes us too long, we come back and get out of ghoul territory because ghoul territory at night would not be great.
No.
So yeah, I say let's go in.
Okay. So, making your way, you are. It's to your best knowledge, you're still deep in the heart of giant bug territory. And you noticed last time when you were visiting with the rat people, the rat folk, there was some sort of giant edifice, either inhabited or in the process of being constructed over here. And the rat folk called it like the mound or the hill. So information there. As you head out south cautiously, this is going to be a traveling trackless wastes roll. Again, with that, you're going to have 3 people: scout, wayfinder, and a logistician, a quartermaster. So, but all of those are cool rolls. Again, the scout makes sure nobody gets the jump on you. The trailblazer makes sure you get from point A to point B in a reasonable period of time, maybe saving supplies. And the quartermaster tracks his supplies and makes sure that that happens nicely. So, who wants to do which job?
I mean, I could do scout like usual.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm always up to fail. Who wants to fail? Anybody else? Because I'm at 0.
I have a 0 modifier as well.
I would do quartermaster because I have 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Xander, you are
You go
You're
for
up.
it. You go for it. I'm at level 7. Go ahead.
Okay.
so I'll be taking the navigator.
So your goal is to seek out in some way find this hermit, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And since you know about how much food and water you have, what's your current reserves?
Not great. I have. I'm out of jars. Anyone have water?
I
have
have
7
8
water.
uses of water.
You have 8? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
no,
Okay.
I come strapped.
Okay.
Okay.
If somebody wants, who's the quartermaster?
I am.
Okay, figure out how much food and water you all have together.
All right.
Okay, so I have 2 normal rations and then 10 ashmeal crackers, and then I have 7 water.
Okay,
All
so
right.
12 food, 7 water. Go.
I got
I'm
0
willing to.
water, 7 food. Hold on, 10 food.
So 27, what's that? 22 food, 7 water.
I'm willing to say that I have at least 1 of each.
Okay, so negligible there. And
I have 6 uses of food and 8 uses of water.
so 15. So with the 4 of you, you've basically got 4 days of water and plenty of food. So heading 2 days south, and if you haven't found anything, 2 days back north. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. So let's start with the Trailblazer. Go ahead and give me a cool roll, please, Trailblazer. See how well this works. 6. Mark experience, please. Yeah, unfortunately you're gonna get lost. So we'll deal with that here in a minute. How about quartermaster? 8. Okay, middle of the road. If you all as a team could burn off a total of what's that? 8 food and 8 water. Figure out how that's going to work. But you're down 8 food and 8 water. Again, you should have enough to get back to where you were, assuming that you can find out where that is. And finally, the scout. Go ahead and give me that roll, please. Okay. So either um, you spot a potential threat in time, okay, and that means you can choose to engage said threat if you wanted to, or you can choose to avoid it entirely. So you are at, I'm not even going to put you on the map yet because you don't know where you're at. And you're trying to find your way when you hear a crashing sound. Something very large running into other very large things. Um, who is our scout?
Right here.
Okay. So you are the first one to spot this thing. It's one of those giant like building size bugs. Okay. Giant building size bugs. It's just crashing through the remnants of this part of the city. Um, it's staggering around. A building collapses completely. This was like an old stone something or other, might have been a shrine or a temple. Not even sure, but it just bumps into it and knocks it down entirely. It's wandering around, um, bumping into things. Um, what do you do?
You know what? I think Luther would at least notify the group and be like,
Okay.
"Hey guys, there's that."
Okay. So yeah, and you can all hear it. It's pretty obvious. What do you do?
What do you guys want to do?
I-
Go ahead, Albrecht. Go ahead.
No, that was it. Just Albrecht would want to fight.
Okay.
I mean,
Um,
going on what we saw earlier, we don't know if it's just that thing or if there's a
that's
column
true.
with it.
That's true.
And attacking a column is admittedly suicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So I'm hearing that more observation might be in order.
let's wait for a minute and then see.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so you wait. Um, if you want eyeballs on it, you can. Otherwise, you hear the sound of something very large bumping into things, um, and backing up and bumping into other things and knocking things over. You're keeping an eye out. Does not seem to be any other giant bug activity in the immediate region. Um, yeah. Anybody got an eyeball on the creature?
I can be keeping an eye on it.
Okay. The impression you get is that this thing is sick, like infirm and ill. Um, it like shudders sometimes and stops moving, and then like lurches in a different direction, which would be sad if the thing wasn't you know giant, rhinoceros beetle kind of thing, a walking tank. So, hey, um, Ranveer, since you are keeping an eye on this thing, if you would give me an observe roll, please.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, mark experience. You think you see something interesting and you don't think this thing has noticed you. I mean, so you're wandering around, you see me? Doesn't appear to be taking any notice of you. So you're trying to get close for a better look, and it knocks over. There's this they had like lamp posts, like light posts, but instead of being metal, they were just beautifully stacked stonework, and there was a big basin at the top where they would put in a wick and oil. It knocks this thing over on you, and not entirely on you. Go ahead and give me a D4, please. But you are going to be trapped under this rubble. All right, take 1 point of damage. Do not apply armor. Yeah, and your leg is very, very, very trapped, and this thing is wandering around. Based on where you are, it could back up and crush you um, in a heartbeat, or it could wander off. So, yeah, the rest of you might hear this, especially if Ranveer lets out a yelp. But you're aware that one of your compatriots is in a little bit of danger. What do you do?
Okay. I'm gonna move in to go try and start pulling Ranveer out, And I'm gonna ask, before I do though, I'm gonna ask Albrecht to make sure that he's keeping an eye on the beetle. Just kind of like, hey, what? I need you to watch out for this, okay? Let me know if he starts trying to come towards us again, and then I'm gonna go set
Maybe
off
let's
to
have the
go.
person with the +3 in cool to keep an eye on the thing.
Yeah,
I gotta keep an eye on Moku. Like I'm
I
a
feel
busy
like,
guy.
yeah, I don't know if Luther would is my issue.
Oh, Moku's concerned about this thing, but sniffs and sneezes a couple of times, and gives the doggy equivalent of like a shrug, and is just looking at you and looking at the bug and looking at you and looking at the bug. So, yes, Brother Xander, go ahead and it's not, it's not going to be hard for you. Between levering off like stones and just, dragging Randver upright. Yeah, scratches and bruises, nothing major. Yeah, and the thing just keeps bumping into stuff. What do you do?
Okay, do we ignore it or do we? I don't know.
I would be okay with ignoring it. I don't know how other people in this party would feel about ignoring it, but
Luther,
feel-
give me a cool roll, Luther. You smell something. It's very familiar, but you don't know why. It's a new smell to you. It's something that you've only smelled a couple of times and recently, but you're like, I don't know what this is.
you know what? I think that convinced me. Let's kill this bitch. Thing.
Okay.
Okay.
So as you're looking for a good place to start doing that, Luther, you catch a whiff of it again, and now you remember. You know that incense you've got, the real musky stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That smell is coming off of this giant sick bug. And that's when you notice there are these, y'all know what they call them mosquito bats. They've got a big bulgy belly and a long stabby nose, and they can suck blood. These look like mosquito bats, but they don't have the big noses, and the bulgy belly is significantly smaller. But they do. There's like half a dozen of them stuck to this thing's carapace, and they seem to have their little noses in between the joints. Um, and they smell. They're giving off this really strong musky scent, and it smells exactly like those little incense pucks that you got from the bug people. What do you do?
I guess I would infer that these bats are like killed and something transformed into making the incense. I knew someone, I can recall someone said that they're important for something. I just can't think of what it would be off the top of like my head.
Okay. So what do y'all do?
Luther, you should burn those bats.
I could. I should. I think I will.
Okay. Because I think if they are giving off that same incense smell, it should cover up the fact that you even burned them in the first place. Because I think that's what they used the incense for.
Okay.
Is to cover up the ghoul smell.
What are you going to be using, a heart blade?
I'm assuming that's like
Okay.
the best course of action.
Okay, just go ahead and give me a heart blade roll. Okay, beautiful. Which additional effect did you want?
The throne.
Got it. Okay, it's not difficult for you. You've got 3 uses on that. It's not difficult for you to hit the first 2. They're stuck to something the size of a building. It's moving unusually, but when it stops for a second to like rest, you just wind up and throw one of your fireballs at this thing like a baseball. It detonates, and as the thing goes up in flames, it lets out this huge, just waft of this musky smell. Okay, it's very intense, and the bug shudders as the cloud envelops it. And you all, catch a pretty good whiff of this stuff. You're like, it's strong, but it's not, it's more this as opposed to cough, wheeze, die. So anyway, but when you take out the second one, the rest of them pull loose and flap off. And seemingly none the worse for wear. And the bug just goes motionless for a minute. What do you do?
Let's get out of here.
Oh, doing the bug out boogie? Okay. Which one of you has the worst quick?
I have
Probably me.
-1.
-1.
Hey, okay.
I have plus
Do-
one.
Do rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to do it on Xander because Xander's probably going to be like, Xander, I feel that you're like the rear guard guy, right? All right, the rest of you go. I'll keep an eye on it. Is that? Am I feeling it? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the one in back. Go ahead and give me a quick roll, please.
Quick roll. Quick roll. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you know that you've got like some loose rock and some rubble around here, and you're just carefully picking your way up on that. This giant house-size beetle thing shudders and sort of shakes its head and lifts up off the ground on 6 legs. And where it was, the staggering, reeling, bumping into everything 10 minutes ago, there's a sense of groundedness and purpose to this thing. And it raises its head, and these some kind of sense organs on its face pulse a little bit, and it turns and just starts heading in a direction, and it's not bumping into anything. It's following roads, goes down about 2 blocks, makes a right, and heads straight back into the heart of bug territory. It looks a little weak, but it doesn't look confused.
Okay.
So what do you do? Oh, and you're still quite unclear where you are in the necropolis. So what do you do?
Well, okay.
I think
If it's headed back in towards bug territory, could we use its movement to determine like kind of where we are?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't know that it's heading back into bug territory, but it seems to kind of know where it's going. That was a really good one. What's your sharp?
0.
0. Okay, go ahead and give me a sharp roll, and I'm gonna give you a bonus on that for insight. That was amazing. Oh, damn. Damn. And so Brother Xander says, "Oh, well, as you all obviously know, so go ahead and lay out your thoughts there, brother."
All right. Here's my thought. Right. It did the little feely thing, and the things came out. That's got to be something, and then it ran back. If it's hurt, it's got to be headed back towards the core or that hive area. And based off of where that is, if we know where the fort is and how we've been like kind of going this direction, then we can triangulate where we are. Now, I don't know what any of that means, but Liam has been telling me stuff that he's been like reading in his books, and I think that's how we're supposed to do this.
another thing I noticed, if it seemed to have like scanned you for a moment and then running off.
Mhm.
I think it's best to get out of here before
I
it
agree.
shows back up for reinforcements.
Yeah. It also
All
might
right.
indicate that we could take one of those on its own, but not with the other things. Maybe it's maybe they're all kind of specialized, and instead of like, oh, I can take one giant beetle could take all of us. It would take, a giant beetle and a few other things. I think it's also a good indication of where we are.
Okay. So I'm just gonna any additional information that you bump into is going to back up Brother Xander's hypothesis. So again, climbing tall things, looking for resources, looking for landmarks, things like that. You think, based on that, you think that you're about here. Now, the problem is you don't know how far ghoul territory extends. And you also really don't know how far bug territory extends. Oh, and um, you did hear from uh from both the rat folk and the bug people that there are other tribal groups out here, other large groups of folks, but they're all they called them the animal kin. The impression you got was like they're down this direction. Um, and the impression you got was that they were kind of like the rat folk, but not rats, like all kinds of different animal subtypes. So you got some other potential threats. What do you do? Oh, and the good news is if you are where you think you are, now that you're 2 days into your ration supply, it would be a pretty much a 2 day straight shot back to where you were. Maybe less. What do you do?
Do
We got to find the Tinkerer.
right?
I mean,
But we also only have a few days of food and
Mhm.
stuff. Does this area look like we could scrounge and maybe fill some of our rations?
I mean, no theoretical bias against it. Let's see. Oh, all right. So if anybody wants to do like a searchy type roll, like an observe roll on the immediate area, I'm only going to let one of you do it. It is a cool roll, but I will let one of you assist in that roll if you wanted to proper drop one of your compatriots. So who's making the roll and who's helping?
I mean, it is a cool roll.
It is.
I gotta do my job.
I'll try and help. I'll try and. Actually, wait, no, hold on. You have the plus. Who has the +1?
I think Albert does.
Albrecht, you help.
Okay. So how many bonds?
Well,
How many
well,
blood
the
do you
proper
have?
drop is based on blood,
Correct.
Yeah.
which I have not resolved any.
Okay.
Okay.
Who has got blood with Luther?
I do. I have a is a better soul and he lets on, and my example will inspire him to do mighty
So you've
things.
got 2 blood with him.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Okay. So you would actually get a roll at a +2 if you wanted to try that.
Sure. Yeah.
So hit it, Will. Good brother.
Prop or drop with bond. Not Ranveer. I'm going with Luther.
Okay. So you're going to get a +1 on this anyway, uh, Luther. But if there's any negative consequences, our good brother, you'll share in those. So hit it. Okay, that's a 10 with the +1. Awesome. All righty. So I'm going to ask you this, Luther. You are going to find some sources of food or water or both. That is a given. You have succeeded 100%. However, if you want to find a lot of food and water, etc., with a, I don't know, minor additional, let's just call it a complication, something interesting, you can do that. What's your call? A little bit, no pain, no gain, or a lot with some theoretical complications.
I mean, 99% of all gamblers quit right before they win big. So all or nothing.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so you are all scrounging around trying to find some, food, water, whatever. And Luther, you catch a breeze. Everyone's a little sensitive to the weather around here because, sandstorms. But you catch a breeze and it smells sweet. It smells like flowers and growing things and water. So following your nose, Brother Xander, you're helping out, looking around, and you just see Luther straighten up and start. He's obviously headed someplace. And you run into what looks almost like a wall that's made entirely out of ropey, woody, vine type things that are green. You're so used to like the brown and the dust and the ash and the just a million shades of gray, that the green of these things, now they're dusty and sandy and whatnot, but like a leaf poking out here and there, and the vines are very overgrown and tangled, so it looks like a wall here that stretches across what probably was just a side street or an alley. What do you do?
Now, Luther, before you go in, let's at least come up with a game plan.
Okay. What's your
Now,
plan?
go ahead, Randy.
Am I with them, or like Arpic and I with them?
Yeah, no, you're all looking together, and you're like, okay, hey Luther, let us know if you find anything. But yeah, you're together.
Could I cast like sanctuary, and see if it would kind of like bleed into it, and see if there's anything with like malicious intent in there?
Good question. The essence of sanctuary is that you inscribe an area. You walk around it, you get a little incense, you walk around it, you get a little chalk, you walk around it, you offer up a prayer, but you have to define the space. The Wiccans in the audience know what I mean when I talk about spinning circle. Okay. You have to create the space by defining it with your physicality. Now, if you wanted to make a sanctuary on the outside of this wall, you could. If you wanted to somehow get over, above, or through this wall and walk the perimeter of however much space it encloses, yes, you could do that. But you can't do anything here that's going to sense anything else. It's got a very physical geographical limitation to it. If you want to start looking for spirits that might have some more and better divination type spells, look over there without actually being able to be over there. Yeah, that could be a goal for you.
All right.
So what do y'all do?
So I think I explained that, but like saying like if we go inside, I can drop that, like make the circle in there.
Okay.
That'll give us information.
So we could do that, but I think in order for us to get inside, we should kind of come up with a plan. I think tip of the spear, Albrecht, me behind Albrecht, and then Luther, you behind me, and then Randy behind Luther. That sound good? Because I feel like everything out here is fine, but when we go in, something might go wrong.
You're the one with the shield, though. Is
Okay,
you
well
going first?
I can be in front if there's like a doorway, but if we're just like going, you know.
How tall are the vines?
The wall, um, probably here, 20 feet. That's the bad news. The good news is, since it's comprised almost entirely, these vines are anywhere from like the size of a toilet paper roll to almost too big to get your hand around. but it does not look like a difficult climb. So if that helps.
Is it like some of the vines, the size difference big enough where someone could like slip through?
Oh
By the-
no, 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 no.
Okay,
It's
okay.
it's I mean, okay, there's places that you can see between a couple of vines, but beyond it more than like a hand span in, it's just more vines going other directions. So if anybody, I don't know if any of you have done any gardening. When you take the plant and you put it in a pot and you leave it there too long and you're like, oh, I got to transplant it. And you pull it out and all the roots are doing this. The roots have just filled the whole pot. Root bound, as they call it. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Only not unhealthy.
Hmm. Do we cut at the roots?
I have that heart blade left over.
Oh yeah, you still got yeah.
I
That's
could burn
weird.
it
I mean,
away.
you're just hanging onto this little fireball. Hey, hot potato. Huh. Ah, boom. Sorry. Just my little joke. Teehee. Tossing up magic missiles and catching them in my chest. Teehee. All right. Okay. Uh, so you're going to try and blast a hole through this with your fireball.
Not blast a hole as much as maybe burn a hole through it that we could see.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to call that a power stunt. All right. So go ahead and give me a sharp roll, please. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So you're trying to bore a hole and you're like, if I throw it. So the rest of you get to watch Luther just take this little fireball and start pushing it through these vines. Okay. The good news is it works. All right. You've got just it's oh, and these vines are nice and moist and juicy, so they're not catching flame. There is a lot of steam coming out of this. But Luther, you just basically take this thing and you're feeling it fade as you go because you're putting off a lot of energy here, but you get all the way up to your shoulder before it pops out the other side and the heart blade shudders to a halt. All right, so you've got a hole this big into wherever you're looking. Oh, and there's again that breeze. It instantly clears out all that burny, uh, 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 steamy smell, and you just, oh, is that lilac? Oh my gosh, is that orange blossom? I don't even know what those are. I've never seen either of those plants, but oh, what does that smell? So this absolutely delightful little breeze is blowing out of this hole. What do you do?
Could I make another cool roll and just see what's going on in there?
Oh, you can poke your head and see what you see in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking a peek. Again, it's big enough that you can kind of look around a little bit. There's a lot of green in there, like a lot of green. And you can smell moisture and the little breeze coming into that hitting your face. You didn't realize, you're out here in the sun and the dust and your skin is just, you know, and it hits and it's just like, it's just these cool fingers running over your face. Oh, it's so pretty. You're not sure, but you think this is like you're looking through and you're like, oh, oh my God, is that a tree? Like an actual, oh, because you saw a bird? Oh, that tree isn't close. Oh, that tree is like way over there. Oh my God, this may be like the biggest tree you've seen in your life. Not that that's a hard thing to do because trees are very, very rare and few and far between. And a bonsai would be worth its weight in rubies, because it's just living wood. Yeah. But the fact that this bird flew between you and it, and you're like, oh, I thought it was like there. No, no, it's way over there. What do you do?
I mean, I have one more use of Heartblade.
Actually, you have 4 total?
I had 3, I
Three.
thought.
Okay, so you blew up 2 of the bat things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought I did 2 with 1.
No,
Okay.
you're all good. But yeah. So what do you do?
We can make an entrance.
Or we could try and climb over it.
True.
Because at least it's seemingly, if it's like almost like arm length in, it's gonna be like a thickness of 2 to 3 feet, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Right here anyway, it's like 2 feet. So what do you do?
Let's climb.
Okay.
Okay. Which of you again has the cruddiest quick?
It's me or Xander.
Okay, cool. All right. So if any of you wants to help your slightly less than apt friends up over the wall. Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna even it out. If any one of you wants to give me a roll at no bonus, that'll just be for the whole group. Just a quick
Anyone quick 0?
hit
I
it.
have a quick of 0.
Oh, does anybody have anything less than 0?
I have a minus
thought that-
1.
Oh, okay.
-1.
So yeah, just give me any roll that's with no bonus, please.
Who's rolling? I guess I'll roll.
Not me.
Cool. Oh,
Oh,
beautiful. Okay, so you managed to luck into a really, really easy spot to climb over. And so you do that. And you are all absolutely stunned by what you see there. It's a it's it's something between like a valley and a crater. It's like the ground subsided sharply. Um, so you're looking down into this huge green bowl almost. It's much longer than it is wide. Um, and it's full of greenery. There is literally more living, growing plant life directly in front of you than any of you have seen combined in your entire life. All right. And it's green, and you can hear birds, and there's rustlings in the underbrush. And now the only unusual thing about it is, well, you don't even know that this is unusual, but to a modern observer, the main um, plant form isn't like trees and bushes. There are some little trees and some little bushes, one big tree not that far away. But the vines are the thing. And the vines are almost like a thin spider web. Okay, they stretch between trees, and they one big vine has a little vine creeping out of it that goes over here and ties to the top of this bush. But it seems to be there's like a up. Okay, so you're on top of this woody, viney wall type space. Not really sure what's defining it. And so you're looking down through this like scattered foliage of these vines and things, making a canopy, not a full canopy, you can see through it, but like a gentle canopy over this entire bowl of the valley. And then down underneath it, you're smelling like water. Again, rustles in the underbrush. You're hearing birds. You sit there, and a little squirrel pops his head up and looks at you and bolts off. It's it's a massive, massive shock to all of you. Um, this is just outside of any of your paradigm currently. So what do you do?
I'm gonna ask, who do we think this belongs to? because if they have guarded this for like a long period of time and no one has come in and taken things, what is stopping someone from going in here?
Think
You're not sure.
I think
The yeah, there doesn't. You reminded me of an old quote, Brother Xander. The 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 explorer finds the place and he says, "Man, any place that pretty has got to have a snake in it, right?" So yeah. Um okay. You don't, I mean, sitting on the wall here, um you don't have a good read on um what would be a bad or hostile thing in there. But I mean, yeah, it's a pretty safe bet in a place that this is this dangerous as the Necropolis. That something, food and water. It's the basics. Something has got to be uh, putting its mark on this. But you're not seeing any signs of it from here. Emphasis on from here. So what do you do?
My question is, what is Luther doing? Because I feel like Luther would basically be like, "Oh, perfect."
I mean, I don't know. Is Luther a particularly, woodsy, greeny, tree hugger kind of person, or what do we think?
In my defense,
Uh-huh.
he has never seen anything like this before.
Absolutely not. Absolutely never.
So I think he's like just taking it all in,
Right.
like just like oogled, like eyes popping out of head.
Right. Right. Okay, so I'm going to switch maps on you here. Your um You're over here on the north side of this space, you think. It stretches very, very far. You can sort of kind of see um, over the canopy, but it stretches very, very distant. Um, this place is miles, square miles of terrain and territory. I'm going to mark the outskirts here so you can see it. But yeah, big, 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 big place. So you have a sort of a scope of the whole thing, but again, it's so overgrown, you're not really sure what is in here even.
I think Ranvir's biggest concern is that since like the vines were like juicy
Uh-huh.
and like like didn't burn, that means they're very much alive.
Very much.
The walls are alive.
Yes.
And so like whatever made the walls is connected to the walls. So something huge is alive here.
Yes.
Trees are alive. Would you say trees are threats?
Depends on if one
They're
wants to
friendly.
fall on you and can do it voluntarily.
I think something who can make this is much more different than a tree.
Okay.
Well,
So that's about the scope of it. The open area toward the top is the space that you can see fairly completely. In that you can see, birds and things flying around. Um, so what do you do?
Dude, I don't know. I feel like we have to go in, or we just
We
turn
have
around and go
to.
home.
We
We have
have
to.
to.
It's either
We have to, and I want to.
Yeah.
okay. Um. Yeah. Okay. What's like the safest way that you think we could get in? Is so we're up like on the wall. Are we up like a little bit, and then since it drops down, we'd have to like climb down, or
Um, yeah, the impression you get is the whole thing has like, it might not be like one organism, but something has like built up around this basin or collapsed area. Um, and you do notice a lot of the vines at the top of this thing are curling inward, like they're trying to seek the green and the life and the stuff. Um, but so you're looking down through all this mild canopy here. From here, though, it's patchy. Some places have like large open spots. Some are like very, very dense, but they're off in the distance. Um, from here, it would be a relatively easy climb down because it's not just wall, it's like wall, and then there's stuff growing out over here and growing like above this. Oh, and there's a little bush growing on top of the vine, and the vines make a little dish, and there's a couple of birds, splashing around in some rainwater, and it's gosh, it's in some of your religions, this would be like paradise. Okay. It's just should we really be here? I haven't, said my absolutions recently. But yeah, it would be a relatively easy climb down to wherever the bottom is. What do you do?
Climb down.
all right, let's
Oakley
go.
dokley. Okay. So um they the climb down is easy. And again, you're looking into a overgrown cross between a rainforest, a jungle, and a garden. Um, there's the landscape gets even more surreal. Y'all have seen like flowers, some of the brothers and sisters and others over at the temple. They've got these tiny little gardens with these like little desert flowers that they're just nurturing, and they come up and they're so pretty colors. There's shade down here, and you look up, and part of the shade is this huge flower that's open in full bloom. It's bigger than an umbrella. You're like, oh, there are, again, just any amount of life and stuff in here. Um, but things are weird. Um, there's like one of the first like food you find. Um, it's overgrown, and there's what looks like a oversized eggplant, right? Oversized eggplant, about as big as a bowling ball. Okay. And it's covered with sort of a dusty, or like just like hair fine little filaments. Okay. And it's there again, it's really overgrown over here, lots of leaves. Um, but it smells good, but it doesn't smell like eggplant. Um, so whoever pops it off, you realize you're holding on to a beach ball sized grape. And if you lift the leaves, there's more of them. So the sizes are very strange. Um, I mean, you see little flowers and little bushes and little trees and little vines, but then you're like, what what is this? So, just as a logistical thing, you haven't found any open water yet, but something like the grapes would count, like one of these would count as food and water for a day. So it'd be one use of both combined kind of a thing, and really tasty. I mean, if you get like a dozen of them, you're going to be really sick of grapes by the time you get to where you're going. But until then, um, so what do you do?
I think with what's the size of these grapes? Are they gonna be like strategically smart to carry? I mean, if they're the size of a beach ball,
Yeah, somewhere between the size of a bowling ball and a beach ball. Um, but again, like three of you could eat one of these things. Yeah, it might. Yeah, it's comparable if you consider that, like, what is it? Five food and five water is like what, two or three weights. If you got enough for five food of these, they would also count as your water intake for the day.
Mhm.
So they're actually more efficient than a lot of the food and water that you have on you now. The only problem is there are sooner or later going to go bad, as opposed to the dried stuff and prepared stuff that you have. But it becomes very evident that for any length of time you spend here, um, food and moisture is um, not going to be unusual, difficult to find. So, what do you do?
I think Xander seeing the grapes is like, well, let's each grab two grapes. That's enough for us to go one day, try and find the tinker, come back, and then maybe get all the way back if we need to the other fortress so that we can then retrace our steps again.
Gotcha.
I don't think he really wants to explore the rest of this because it seems
Gotcha.
a little off. Those filaments on the grapes.
Actually, if anyone has ever seen like a wine grape, they do have this dusty little fuzz on them. Um, and they it's odd that there's the purple, but it's got this just like gray hair fine fuzz on it, and it's it's pretty impressive. Anyway, so what do you do?
Yeah, Xander's advocating we all take two grapes and dip.
Oh, okay. I mean
I think I probably agree with that notion for now as well.
I mean that's certainly uh, possible to do.
But there could be cooler things that
Right.
are more packed with nutrients and easier to carry if we were to go deeper.
but
Luther,
Potentially.
I feel
thinking
like
about
you're
this,
trying to be wise, but I don't.
but thinking about this like logically, this is so wrong.
Yeah.
Like, if something has enough power to keep an area like this alive and full of what it's full of, I can't imagine the whole power of this place or whatever owns it or tends to it.
I also
Oh, it
don't
hasn't
want to
stopped us
be.
now.
Yeah, I don't want to be the rabbit caught in the garden. Um, let's hurry up and go.
Okay. So mark this spot on the map kind of a thing, and
Yeah.
okay, for future reference and or explanation. Okay, cool. So that puts it, you were a little, again, this was just searching the immediate area. So let's see, that is going to be a, I'm going to mark it like this so that you can see it. Rectangle about like that. Okay. Um, so You've got some sort of gardeny, paradisey type place over here. So what do? You've replenished your food stocks and then some. Quartermaster, you think you could probably shoot for even a day farther south and still be able to hotfoot it back to the abandoned fortress if you really needed to.
I mean, we came here to find the Tinkerer. We should probably find him.
Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. So, whoever wants to do some more searching, go ahead and give me an observe roll.
Luther.
All right.
Here.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, you do start finding, shall we say, signs. At one point, you find 3 humanoid heads. Kind of nailed to a wall. It's this thick, like adobe brick wall. It looks like it's been crumbling for 900 years, but it's going to be probably crumbling for 900 more. There are these 3 heads, oversized ears and oversized eyes and oversized mouths, grayish skin. There's neck skin that these spikes have been nailed into, and underneath it on the wall is painted in a smelly black substance. If any of you have faced off against ghouls before, it's ghoul blood, and it says "Ghouls go home." Okay, so that's one. You're getting a little farther down to the south, and you find signs of a sprung trap. It's a nasty one. Evidently, somebody took some vines or cables or something, maybe braided together some leather. Yeah, it's braided together leather strips, and made a noose trap. And you know how the noose trap normally goes bong, and okay. This one was set off with a counterweight. And you're kind of eyeballing it how it went. This ghoul, because it's ghoul or what's left of ones, this ghoul stepped in the trap, set it off. This giant weight slid down, like a ramp or just descent, maybe just like a hill-ish type thing. Slid it down, dragged the thing up where it ran into like 5 rows of blades and nails and stuff that had been set into the wall. So just shredded this thing like cheese, and then flipped it, and another rock came and crushed it. Okay, so you've got like feet and arms and legs sticking out from underneath this rock, and you're looking at going, that was very, very deadly in a very clever manner. Yeesh. And another one painted on the wall, and it says, "Still coming?" Question mark. I got more.
Andrew, you go first.
Discretion being the better part of valor, Luther valiantly hid in a closet. So, yeah. So eyes open, Luther. You're the scanner on the ground. You do see signs that there are other traps here. And you manage to avoid, don't step there. Okay. Most of them involve like counterweights. If you step here, this whole thing is going to come down. Oh, the deadfalls are amazing. Just a little tripwire that you wouldn't have seen. and it knocks out the support, and this entire wall, this half of this building is going to fall on top of you. You do notice that they're kind of keyed to like area effect. Okay, most of them. It's not just going to kill you, it's going to kill everybody around you within 20 feet. So think in volume. So you've passed through a couple of these areas. When you smell smoke, it's very faint. And it smells like Albrecht, you spent some time with some herders. They were herding some sheep, the sheep are venomous, by the way, venomous sheep. They're fun. Some venomous sheep. They had some porky swine, and they had some desert horses, and they actually had some like cows and regular horses. And one of the things that the herders would do they gathered up all the herbivore poop, because it was all grassy and whatnot, dry it out for a couple of days, and it burns real nice. It's not the best fire you've smelled in the world, but it will let you heat up a cup of tea or something. Yeah, so it smells like a herding campfire. What do you do?
Okay, so here's the options then. Should we send Ranveer in first, which is the usual option, or just keep going forward with weapons drawn? Because if somebody's willing to make traps, maybe somebody's willing to fight.
That's
I would. Ranveer's never opposed to making a new friend.
True.
However, if there is a trap, I think it would be best if I sprung it. Because I will probably, I have like the highest chance of not dying. Um, about 5. Um,
I do have guidance. Could
Okay.
that possibly help me navigate around traps?
Sure. Yeah. If you want, go ahead and give me a guidance roll, please, or spellcasting. Okay. Ooh. Oh, this is a hex, though, right? Guidance is a hex. Okay, perfect. So that gives you a +1. You the symbol of your spirit appears and motions toward where Luther thinks he smells the campfire smell coming from. What do you do?
Might as well
Go with
proceed.
it.
Yeah, proceed ahead carefully.
Okay. So um you're greeted with sort of an odd tableau. Um, you're coming through, there's an alley that you have to come through, following your nose for the smoke. It's very faint, but noticeable. And you come into what was probably like an atrium, like an outdoor atrium for a home. Okay. You come in through the outside doors, through the walls, and then it opens into a nice little area with pillars and columns. And basically, the house is a big square around it. But it probably was nice at some point in the good old days. Again, the corners are filled with dust and rubble and sand. A couple of the pillars have fallen, so you've only got about half of this thing. But set down in the middle, there were like stone benches that have obviously been dragged into place. Um, there are 4 of them arranged in sort of a squarish, diamondish pattern around this tiny little campfire. Each of them would seat two of you very handily. They're not small. And oh, there's 4 cloths, you might say. They're about the size of like a setting, like a place setting. You go into the place and they've got the thing, and there's the plate and the cup and the knife and all that. Each one of these is about that size. They're fairly rough spun, definite border on them. And there's 2 each on 2 of the benches. Okay. Other than that, there's the fire is tiny. Oh, and it's got this ingenious little thing. It's if you can imagine, like a V-shaped frame made out of wire. It's got some of those cow pats and horse pats leaning on it like this, and the fire is in the middle. So as the centers burn, they just kind of slide down into the fire and burn. So you're like, whoa. Oh, one of those things could keep a fire going all night, and I wouldn't have to like load it or nothing. That's kind of cool. I like that. So, but yeah, it's all set up and loaded. Does not appear to be anyone in evidence. What do you do?
Ranveer, do the thing.
So I do my patented, kind of walk out, with my hands up, kind of saying, "Is anyone there? I don't mean any harm. You may happily kill me if I do." And kind of wait for a response.
The acoustics around here are really weird. You hear a low, pleasant voice say, "Why don't you boys have a seat?"
Go for it.
So I take a seat.
Okay. What's everybody else doing?
I'll sit
Take a
with
seat.
Moku.
Okay, cool.
I'm probably just gonna stand behind one of the seats.
Okay. Xander?
Taking a seat. Going for it.
Okay. All right. So, there's again, piles of rubble and rock and things around. One of the rubble piles unfolds, a little dust falling off this stone colored cloak. And the person turns around, and you see a death's head skull in this hood. And the death's head glares around the circle. And Moku wags his tail. And the mask turns to the dog and pulls back. Older, but not too old gentleman. He's like, they always know. How do they know? What's his name?
His name is Moku, and he's an angel.
That's no good. That's no good, my friend. I've seen too many angels. And he says, "Can I give him this?" It's a little piece of dried meat.
Sure.
Puts it out. And Moku sniffs the hand and sniffs the meat and very delicately picks it out of his hand and turns around so nobody can see, and munch. So hold on. Takes off the cloak. None of you are sneaky thiefy types, right? Okay. That's a really good piece of camouflage. You didn't even notice. So he sets that down. Again, worn clothes, multiply patched. But where are my manners? Hold on. Rummages around in a pack, pulls out this little disc, sets it down on the seat next to him, takes out five little thimble-sized glass shot glasses, but half-size shot glasses. They're more like half of a test tube. Sets them down, pulls out some crackers, counts 5 crackers, and then pops his bottle and fills up all 5 of the glasses. And then he gives it a gentle spin, and you realize this disc is a little lazy Susan. Maybe he's done this before. And he gives it a spin and says, if you would like to share a drink with me.
I'll share the drink.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
So he waits until all 4 of you grab your beverage. Is anybody not?
I'm not going to immediately.
Oh.
Or at least I will grab it, but I will not do anything with it until
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're
someone else possibly does.
okay. So you've all got, and he picks up a cracker and he's got his drink, and he looks around to possibilities. And he eats the cracker and takes the drink. Ooh, water. Yum. The water is really good. It's got a vague mineral tang to it, but it's tasty, crisp. So now that we're all friends here, what are you doing in the necropolis? It's dangerous.
So my name is Ranveer. You're my friends. We're just a group of wanderers, and I must say, amazing craftsmanship. Like some of the stuff I could never do. I have no skills in my hands.
Oh, well, thank you. So, Ranveer, I my people don't live around here, so a lot of you find my name, especially my extended name, a little hard. But the people around here who've met me call me the Tinker, so I go by the Tinker, Mr. Tinker. You know, some call me the Ash Runner. You know, when they get poetic. You know, I mean, there's a couple of girls who call me Big Papa, but you know, so we can set that aside. But Tinker works just fine. And you, friend, you bear the marks of a religious man. What may I call you?
You can call me Brother Xander. That's fine.
Huh, Brother Xander, well met. You, my friend. I don't own as many items as well used and as well cared for as your weapons and armor. Strike me as a fighting man. What shall I call you?
You may call me Alder.
Alder. Brother Xander, Alder, Ranveer. Now, why do you smell like smoke?
Would you want to take a wild guess?
My new friend, you don't know this. I never gambled. Ever. What did they used to say? Risk averse. And my dear departed father always said, good luck is careful planning skillfully executed. So, while I have some suspicions that I might consider to be founded based on some things that I saw around the garden, why don't you tell me?
You can call me Luther.
Luther, well met. The dog seems to like you, and that's always a good sign. So, again, I ask my friends, what are you seeking in the necropolis?
Do you, by chance, have any knowledge on items that could be referred to as elemental incense?
Elemental incense. Yes, perhaps. I don't think I've ever heard it called that. Um, but yeah, yeah. There are local groups who call them the things that swim in the rivers. They call them river puppies. And you look at an otter and you go, yeah, that's kind of a river puppy. I've seen some things and found some things that you could probably classify as incense, and they had some unusual properties. Earth, air, fire, water. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I have. So you're seeking elemental incense. Does it have anything to do with that lantern you carry, friend Luther?
I can't confirm nor deny that, but your guess would probably be right.
Excellent. So short answer, no, I don't have any easily to hand, but yes, I do have some knowledge and information about that. Um, what might that be worth to you?
I mean, it would be really nice to know, but um, if you have a price, you could name it.
Oh, please be careful, my friend. There are people and things that would take dire advantage of that sort of offer. So, but in the spirit in which your request was intended, um, let's see. Well, let me give you a little information, and you can tell me a little bit more. Um, the place that I am aware of that may have this substance that you seek is not particularly close by. The places between here and there, depending upon your route, um, could be generally classified as um, dangerous to deadly, depending. Um, so I don't know how useful the information is going to be to you if you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. I do have some ideas about some of the hazards between here and there that I would be willing to part with a little bit of jingle jingle. Um, but in all fairness, it's not going to be an easy it's not going to be an easy thing to get, assuming that there's still any there, assuming that somebody else hasn't found it. Um, ruin runners and ash seekers are not common here, but they're not unheard of either. Who told you about me?
We heard about you um, from some folks further down in the Necropolis. That you were down this way.
Oh, so folks, it was my impression that the Dominion had pulled out of the Necropolis. And they're the only folk to the north. So what sort of people did you hear about me from?
They were some poor folks who were, I guess, just staying at the old Dominion Fort. They were told
Mm.
to hang back
Oh,
for
oh
reinforcements.
yes. Yes, I'd heard. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I hope you don't think any less of me that I wasn't able to give them what they wanted. They didn't have anything that I needed. So, um, so yes, I'd be willing to trade that information for, I don't know, 5 jingle.
I'm not giving you any money for that. I might give him the stuff for my information.
That's what he's talking about.
Let me break it down for you. It's 1 jingle for the location of where you might start looking for the elemental incense. It's 1 for every hazard that could befall you, and it's a potentially safe route between the hazards. You can pay for any of those or none of those. I don't seek to oblige you in any way, but I give you that information for free. 3 hazards, 1 safe route that I know of.
Could I get the information on the safest route?
But the safest route would point you directly at the location, and that's a separate transaction, my lord.
So 2 jingle.
Certainly. All right. He pokes around through what you've got for trade goods, picks about 2 jingle out, and he's like, all right. So, unfortunately for you, there was a school, um, somewhere between a center of learning and a full, what do they call those? Uni- University, somewhere between the two. The information I found says it was some kind of respected center of learning. All well and good. Um, it lies it's slightly south of southwest, so south southwest. Um, and not terribly distant. If y'all have a map, he pulls out, he marks it. It's over here in this area. Okay, and we are currently um right around here. Okay, so the blue and red is where you are now. The purple and purple circle is the broad location of this school. So, on a safe route to that, it's a little counterintuitive. You're going to need to head southeast, then nearly due south a lot longer than when you think you should, and then almost due west and then northwest to the place. And that's going to look like he sketches out the route a little bit, and it looks like that. That will avoid the majority of dangers along the way. And it's, I'd say as the bat flies, it's probably 2 days away that way. The go around is probably going to take you 4. So
I think that's good enough information.
okay. Anybody want to
I think I'm gonna ask him his opinion on the Dominion.
hard to say. Just the fact that you know that name means that you're somewhere in or around. Um, Mixed bag, really. Um, from what I've heard, they do have a tendency to bring a certain amount of law and order to a place. Um, they're pretty deaf on like raiders, you know. So if they can establish a trade route, if they can establish a communication route, um, co-opt the local groups, they can keep things pretty safe. That being said, they do have a tendency to request workers from the local tribes and clans. Um, Now, that also being said, there's a lot of mobility in the ranks. All right. Dominion's been growing for quite some time. And I've heard of at least one knight whose great grandparents used to be workers. Okay. Um, they do seem to promote for merit. Um, and for people who never mention a god or goddess, they're pretty committed to their idea of making things better. Um, so I don't know. They'd be great to have on your side in a fight, I'll tell you that. And I really wouldn't want to piss them off if they could send a few guardians and knights down to ruin your whole day. Um, but yeah, they're driven, and I don't think we know if that's good or bad yet. So we are sitting at 4:33 p.m. Eastern Standard. Welcome to the hells that is daylight savings. I'd like a bio break for about 7 to 10 minutes. We'll come back and see how the party is going to proceed armed with this knowledge of the school. All right, count us out, boss, and we'll be back in about 10. Welcome back, folks. Before we get rolling again, Will has a shout out to one of our faithful viewers. Take it away, Will.
I want to say thank you to Keiru or Dustin. He's been watching and he's been coming in and chatting pretty frequently. So yeah, thank you, Dustin.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin. All right. So, sitting here with the enigmatic and mysterious Tinker. Um, so, anything else you might need? Pots and pans, knives sharpened, information.
Well, I have a question of my own, more
By all
for
means.
my own personal interest.
Sure.
So you're labeled as the Tinkerer. So what exactly does that entail? Do you tinker with tools, armor, weapons?
I dabble. Um, you probably know a lot of people living out in the wilderness. We kind of have to, if we want something, we kind of have to make it, find it, scavenge it, polish it up, whatnot. Um, some folks call me the tinker because calling me a scav to my face is a little rude. Um, yeah, so I find some things, I do some trading, I put some pieces together, take some things apart so I have parts for new things to put together. I can put a mean edge on a blade though. I don't think I've ever made a pot or a pan, but I've found some good things to use as pots and pans. Um, Jack of all trades. Yeah. So, well, were you looking for anything in particular along the armor and weapons front?
Mm. All right, unless you have more extraordinary weapons, I do not think I'd be of any interest.
I mean, a sharp blade is extraordinary to someone who's only had stone tools. What, how out of the ordinary were you looking for, my friend?
Something with a much more magical inclination.
Mm. Grandpa said all the magic is gone. Um, Grandpa was mostly right. Um, but finding it, taming it, and putting it to use are all three very different skills. And though I may be able to find a few things, um, I'm wary. It's a lot like fire. If you know how to cook with it, it's fantastic, but it can also burn your house down. So try not to get too close. And again, there are usually people and things who are trying to keep folks like us away from the magic. So, what did you think of the garden?
It was beautiful, but
Oh, oh
I
yeah,
have not the greatest security in being there.
very wise. Um, yeah, as far as I know, the Dominion actually, when they were trying to set up shop here, they sent a few scouts and researchy types into the garden. Um, yeah, it's very beautiful. If I go, I do not stay long, and I keep a really good eye out for any number of hazards and threats in there. So yeah, if you were lucky enough to find it, but you were also lucky enough to survive it. So well done. Anything else?
I have one more question before
Sure.
we leave you alone. Um, do you know? Are there any recommendations that you have for us? We're probably gonna go back with some information since the incense problem that Luther's having may need to be fixed somewhere else. Do you have any recommendations for how to deal with ghouls if we run into any?
Um, well, what do you know about ghouls?
We know that they can imitate people, which is probably why you're really well suited against them, as you don't appear to have anybody here with you. We know that they're comparatively really powerful, um, and that they sometimes like to travel in packs. Um, we know a few of their specialty things. Luther here stepped into one of their tracking substances, I guess. Or Ranveer did. I forget who it was. Um, oh, Albrecht did. Okay.
It was it. I wouldn't say a tracking substance.
Well,
Yeah, they bury their offal. Um, but yeah, that stink does have a tendency to linger. Well,
um,
I gotta say you're better versed than a lot of people. Um, they can't stand sunlight, which is good. Um, I will tell you that the people who built the Necropolis back when it was a real city, let's just say they were really good with plumbing and sewers. Um, those undead bastards have got really good sense of hearing and smell. Okay. So if they're hiding around someplace out of the light and they hear you or smell you, they can track you. And in this part of the city, they can track you for miles. And then pop out of a hole or a building or a basement that you weren't expecting. So if you're moving, if you're worried about ghouls, you move during the day and try not to make any noise, clean up your garbage religiously, and check any potential routes to the underbelow very thoroughly before bedding down for the night. And that you can have for free. I really hate those guys. So there are there's a couple of different clans around that I think I've identified. The Skullbreakers and the Blood Drinkers. The clans don't get along ever. They have a tendency to eat their defeated. They're currently jockeying for some territory, so they're more active. Again, this one's for free. Northeast of here, they've got a turf war going on, so they're more active at night, and you don't want to get caught up in that. That's nasty. Anything else I can do for you?
I think that's it. Do you guys need anything else?
All right. And he flips another piece of dried meat to your dog, who catches it handily. He shrugs into his cloak, puts on his mask, and transforms in front of your eyes into this horrific nightmare creature. And then he kind of giggles and waves. Give me like 2 minutes head start. All right. Watch out for the skies. I'm thinking there's another storm coming. And he goes out of the little atrium area and just disappears. What do you do?
Okay, are we
Well, let's
going?
go to the academy.
I think we don't really have enough things to make it
Do
to
we have
the
do we have
academy.
enough things to make it there or no?
No.
I think so.
The garden isn't too far from here.
That's true, but we could also go all the way back and then like stock up and go.
Also said there was a storm coming.
Yeah,
don't
so
wanna
we
be
might
trapped.
wanna.
Out in the throes of the city during a storm without
I
cover.
agree. Oh, we should have asked him how. Oh, he's gone already. That kind of stinks. We should have asked him how soon the storm appeared to be coming. Um. Well,
Anybody want to give me a cool roll to figure that out?
I got it. Oh, shoot.
Okay. Probably not today. But in the next 24 to 48 hours, yeah, it's not looking great.
So I vote heading back.
do we? Okay, but I don't know if we'll be able to make it back to the garden, or not. Not. I don't know if we'll be able to make it back to the fortress. That's a couple days away.
And we
Let's.
won't be able to make it to the academy. That's a given.
It's 4 days away.
Yeah. Do we want to go to the garden and try and survive like one day in the garden, or however long it takes for the storm to pass over?
Preferably,
That was a good question.
maybe we could find somewhere outside the garden, but near.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a destroyed building. Anywhere we could kind of set up camp.
Somebody give me a sharp roll, please.
Do that.
What's your?
2.
Oh, okay.
Go.
Okay. Looking around, it's fairly close to the garden. But yeah, it probably was a stable at some point. Again, mostly collapsed, and it doesn't look like much from the outside. But you're able, you follow your brain there, Ranveer, and you're like, I think there's a space over here. And so you find a place to hold up in this abandoned stable. There's only like one stall left, but it's pretty well preserved. You think it's done all the falling in that it was going to do. It's actually it's not a stall. It's like the tack area, so it's a smaller space. You'll be crowded, but there's room to stretch out and get some rest. If the storm lasts more than a day or so. And as you settled in on that, the wind picks up again and the storm hits. Ranveer, give me a roll at no modifier, please.
Is that a what D is that?
It's 2d6, no modifier. Okay. So the storm is about as bad as you thought. Blows for about a day. You do have to dig your way out of it, but as soon as the wind noise dies down a little bit, you know you're good. Everybody burn a day's worth of food and water, please. And what do you do?
I mean, it would take 4 days to get to the academy from here, and it would take 4 days to get back to the temple from here.
2 to 3
Uh,
back to the temple because it's a straight shot.
if we
I
were
thi-
to get stuff in the garden, I think it might be worth it because obviously there's something I want there, but maybe we could find like things that could like help us out later, like maybe books that might have information on bugs or something crazy.
I. So you want us to go to the garden, or you want us to go to the university?
You go to the garden to stock up on some food, and then
Then.
head to the university.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can agree with that. I still don't think we have enough to come back, like fully come back yet, Because nothing, we don't have anything new yet. Other than, oh, we met a tinker over here in the garden. Okay, I can agree with that. You
Okay.
guys, what do you guys think?
I think Ranveer begrudgingly agrees.
I
He
think
just
Albrecht would also begrudgingly agree because he doesn't, at least magic in a normal sense, does not really interest him unless it's for combat.
They might have enchanted weapons there. We don't know.
We
Hmm.
also might have, we never figured out what we're gonna have to face on the way, so just saying, Albrecht, you might be able to use your sword quite a few times.
I'm
It
sorry.
doesn't, well,
I have
your
the
weapon,
hammer.
yes, you might be able to use your hammer a few times. It doesn't appear
Mhm.
like it's gonna be in ghoul or bug territory from the maps that we have. Yeah, let's. I agree. Let's do that. Do we just want to grab the grapes again, or do we want to go further in this time and risk it a little bit more?
The grape should
I
work.
think yeah, it's not worth going deeper.
Okay, let's just go get a couple grapes then.
Okay. Um, somebody want to give me just a luck roll, please? Actually, no. Somebody give me a sharp roll.
I can do it.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. You're able to retrace your steps back to where you were. The climb up on the vine wall is uneventful. You actually even find the borehole. It's starting to grow back, though. There are little vine filaments already trying to fill up that hole. Um, climb on up, look around, find the grapevine, grab a couple more. And as long as you don't get horribly, horribly lost or along the way, you figure that you have enough food and water to get from here to wherever this school is and back, and maybe a couple days on site if there's an extended amount of stuff to look into. So, all right, travel trackless waste. Um, again, scout, wayfinder, and quartermaster. Who's doing what?
You got it this time, Ranveer. I think you can.
Uh, so I'll do scout again.
Hmm?
I'll run with navigator just because if I fail, we're not going to be losing more like rations.
Gotcha.
And that would leave me with quartermaster.
Beautimous. All right, so let's see. Traveling trackless wastes. All right. So Luther with the scout. Yeah, you don't run into anything that you don't want to run into. So Trailblazer.
I'm trying.
Hmm, That's all we can ask.
There we go.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, Trailblazer. You actually reduce the time it takes to reach the destination. You were expecting 4 days. It turns out it's only 3. So excellent. And quartermaster. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now you've got enough food and water to make it back at least to the garden, and you've got enough for 3 days on site in that area, um, if you want to do some more searching. Now, on the trip, you hear some things. Um, you hear drums, a lot of drums. Evidently, the area that you were skirting around has some people or peoples in it that are the drums sound like a warning. Kind of, if you can hear this, don't get too close. And they play at night mostly, and it sounds a little wild and crazy. You do see every now and again signs of like smoke, cook fires, that kind of a thing. Occasionally you hear a clanging of metal on metal in the distance. At one point, a lot of voices raised up, like you were listening to a distant sporting event or something. Cheers, cheers and roaring. But so you bop around until you make it to an area that you think is this school. So it's pretty desolate here. You're looking at it's a small tower. Well, more of a keep, really. It looks like a cross between a fortification and a church. So very, very formal look to the buildings, very classical look to the buildings. The grounds are fairly well delineated, even though they're mostly empty space now, gravel and dirt. But you're looking into a couple city blocks worth of open space, large imposing building, centrally located, outbuildings. Some of them are collapsed. Probably a dormitory of some stripe over here. But yeah, the wind blowing through this space, it sings off the walkways, the cobblestone and the flagstone walkways. It's got kind of a ringing hiss to it. So, what do you do?
I mean, I might just like ask Moku to sniff around for anything.
Okay. Cool. So go ahead and give me an observe roll, please. Beautiful. All right, so you can ask 3 of those questions.
What here is useful?
Okay. You want useful, valuable, or informational?
Can I have one for valuable and then one for informational?
Sure. Okay. So informationally, you see some signs fairly quickly that indicate an organized group has been here, and not long ago. Not real recent, but you find some places that were used to get like carts and wagons in out of the weather. You find another place that was probably also like a paddock or a small stable for mounts of some kind. By the smell, you think it's desert horse, but could be a number of things. You find some buildings that were obviously repurposed for like cooking and sleeping. You find a couple of buried like garbage holes. belt buckles, half a broken dagger, that kind of a thing. And in the sleeping area, on something catches your eye on one wall, painted not expertly, but with a good intention behind it. It's a picture. It's a sketch of a doorway and a rising sun and a sword, and that's Dominion. So informationally, an organized group of Dominion folks was here was here for some time and left in an organized fashion. So, did you want something useful or valuable?
Valuable.
Valuable. Excellent. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, okay. Um, were you looking in the Dominion areas, or were you looking in just the other buildings and spaces?
Other like buildings at the university, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, oh, um, this could conceivably be very valuable. You find it's a it's a tube or rod that's clear. It's heavy enough that it feels like it could be entirely made of glass or crystal, but it's a tube and it's marked with gradation. Okay. And there is a blue gray fluid in the tube, and it's currently up to a fairly mid to high mark. Say there's like 40 marks on this thing, it's about at a 28 or a 30. And it doesn't matter which way you turn it, that fluid level stays constant. What do you do?
I think I'm definitely gonna pocket it. I mean, there has to be some use to it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Very
mean,
possibly.
I
And
might. Sorry, I might walk up to Ranveer and see if he knows what I'm looking at.
You have wizard sight, right? So Randall?
Yes.
Okay. There's obviously something magical going on with this thing. Give me a sharp roll, Ranveer. Good enough. It's some kind of detector. Like it's pulling in information from its surroundings and measuring them for some reason. So it's a detector. Not quite sure what. All right. So what do you do?
What
I
are the
do I.
uh,
Sorry.
sorry, no, really quick. While this is going on, what are the defenses of this place? What does it look like the Dominion may have set up or done with this university?
Hmm. Well, it looks like it was another one of those um, organized retreats. Um, just, poking around again, looking at it with sort of a military eye. A bunch of people showed up with some wagons, obviously planning on being here for a while. Set up some defensible campsites, and probably took a good look around this place. There weren't any like bunkers dug or built, though you think you do find there was like the main like bunkhouse type place that they had set up. You do find a fallback position from that that had been prepared, but you don't see any like signs of damage or blood stains or broken things. So you don't think they ever had to use it. But now all of you know, oh gosh, if we're getting chased by a whole bunch of, bugs, for example, fall back to this thing, jump in, slam the door, and whatever. There was room for like food stores and water stores and whatnot. Yeah, but they didn't stay. Um, and you don't know how long ago they left. So what's everybody else doing?
Oh,
Albert, should I go for?
yeah.
Okay. With the promise of looking for weapons, Albrecht would like to do just that.
Well, let's see. Hmm. Okay. Go ahead and give me an observe roll, please.
Okay.
Okay. So 3 questions on the list there.
Okay, so I think 2 of my questions are going to be useful and valuable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, hmm. Hmm. Okay. So you're looking around, and the first impression you get is that there have been a number of groups through here picking things over. Or at least a number of people. But you also know that people are pretty good at hiding things. So you're going along and you're tapping on walls to see if there's any open spaces. The interior of these buildings have been plastered, so would be relatively easy to find to put something in a wall. And you find this entire panel that had been moved. And when you open it up, a body falls out.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, surprising you greatly. The body is of it's very old and dried out, desiccated almost to the point of mummification. The body is humanoid, head, 2 arms, 2 legs. But it like curled up into a little ball on drying out. The clothing has mostly dry rotted off. The only thing that you find of any real use is an old, like ancient old uh handheld crossbow. Okay. And this thing is extremely well designed and engineered. It's got a pistol grip, but it's also got bars that come back across the top of your arm so that you can really steady it real easy and you know which way it's pointing really nicely. And there's also it's a box quiver. It's not just a sheaf of arrows. It's a box with holes punched in it, and you stick the quarrels in very easily. So it's a hand crossbow with like one ammo and bolts.
Okay. So Albrecht is, with little regards to the mummified body, he's just gonna rip the things off.
Oh, they're not connected. It was lying there with it.
Oh, okay. Then he's just gonna take them anyway.
Okay.
With
Are you, are you
a
telling
small
anybody?
amount of probably with disappointment in his voice, Albrecht would just show off the crossbow with the quiver.
What's everybody else doing?
I'm poking around for the incense. Like me
Okay.
and Moku are like searching this up and down.
Got it.
Um,
You do eventually run into the room where Albrecht found the body, and any investigation you want to make there. Brother Xander.
the mummies. How? Okay. I think he's doing rights. I feel like, really just kind of trying to fall into, okay, we're not under attack right now. There's no stress. I can perform religious duties right now.
Okay. And you do. Um, hmm. Hmm. Give me a cool roll, brother.
Okay. Cool roll. Cool roll. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So you call upon your spirit to lay this poor soul to their final rest. Um, and you don't quite get a sign, but you feel a tension release. Um, it's the spiritual equivalent of you've been holding a cup, and you can hold a cup, you know, until you hold it for an hour or two or 10 or 50 years or whatever. It gets real heavy. You get this spiritual equivalent that there was this tension here that's now relaxed, and just everything just, it's like the universe took a deep calming breath and let it out. So you feel that your goddess is very pleased with you. What's everybody else doing? Oh, sorry. Luther, go ahead and give me an observe roll, please. Beautiful. Okay. So the good news, you find one of the, for lack of a better term, laboratories. There's a lot of study spaces around here. There were lecture halls, not very big ones, but there were lecture halls. You find spaces that were probably like scribe rooms and um, offices for instructors, professors, teachers, whatever. Um, but you do find a lot of areas for making and researching and chemistry and alchemy and that sort of thing. In one of them, Hmm. You know those glass cases they use to hold like insect samples or butterflies or whatever? Okay. This one's set up for gemstones. Gemstones, pretty rocks, interesting items and artifacts. Okay. So you find one of these, and the labels are getting really dry, and curling, but you've got mineral samples and like gemstones and all sorts of interesting stuff. One of the other ones has got samples of uh, alchemical creations. So there's this little shard of what looks like quartz that's just glowing. Um, and it's labeled as like a fire shard or a light shard or something. And so there's a bunch of these little ones. Um, one of the stones is labeled like North Finder, might be some kind of magical creation, like for a compass kind of a thing. Um, and one of them is a little uh, stick of something labeled um, elemental incense, and there's something else to it, but it's smudged and faded. So it's like elemental incense. We're like, ugh. So also with a roll like that, you find again, you're looking for like a alchemical cookbook, you're looking for recipes, whatever. You do find a slim little volume about um, elemental incense. Okay. It describes properties, it describes what it typically looks like, materials one might use to construct it, or create it. But it's kind of like, when you see a recipe on the internet, it's never do all this. It's, well, when my grandma was making this kind of cornbread, she used to whip me from here to, and it's just like, please just give me the recipe. Okay. I'm trying to make some cornbread. This is like the story part of how to make elemental incense. It tells you some interesting things. It does give you some insights. If you could find somebody to make some, what materials they might need, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are going to be a lot harder to get than others, but it does help identify um, major parts or the major types of elemental incense. Obviously, earth, air, fire, water, and void. It also strongly hints that you can combine them somehow. So you have a stick, if you want it. You have a stick of sort of identified elemental incense, and you've got a book. Everything you wanted to know about elemental incense, but we're afraid to ask. What do you do?
Can I pull out my lantern and hold the stick close to it and see like what the spirit will say or like identify?
Sure. Go ahead and give me a. What stat do you use for magic?
I either sharp or cool.
Spell casting is cool.
I think so.
Yeah, give me a cool roll. Um, your spirit seems interested in the incense. Based on what little you've been able to read about how to identify it, this is probably not water incense, which is good. And it does have some fire characteristics to it, which again, your spirit would like. But it does have some other aspects. Would you say that the other aspects are more air, more earth, or more void?
More void.
Okay. Yes. Your spirit is interested in experimenting on this a little bit. We got snow coming down where I am. So what do you do?
I mean, if my spirit is interested and I've gone all this way to find it, might as well offer it up to this lantern.
Okay. Um, okay. The spirit ignites the um incense, and you see the smoke just sort of rolling. Instead of like drifting up, it's being sucked into the lantern. The smell, hmm, the smell is odd. Um, Boy, how would you describe that? Um, there's definitely a hot component to it, like like a warmth and a burning scent. It's not unpleasant. There's also sort of a metallic smell, um, like 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 you're near a forge and you can smell the hot metal. But it's also got there's it if you smell it, if you get a good whiff of it, it tastes like copper at the back of your tongue, like you're swallowing blood. And then that's not pleasant. Um, but your spirit seems very, very interested in this, and it's bopping along and liking it. All right, what do y'all do?
Could I possibly poke around about possibly like finding or being aware of another spirit? I could attempt to take contact. That would be
Oh,
allied with my mission.
oh, okay. Yeah, give me a cool roll, please. No, mark experience. You do not find evidence of any spirits lurking about currently. However, you do bump into what feel like magical wards against spirits. Um, and the only way you can tell is like the before and after. Say it was the ward was covering like a doorway or a window. From this side you don't notice. From the other side you don't notice, but walking through it, you're like, I'm not in the same place I was. That felt like a ward. Oh, you may have just tripped a sanctuary spell. Only it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like your sanctuary spell, but it does feel like hey, there's something over there kind of a ward. What do you do?
Could I uh, ask my spirit if they know anything about this?
It knows you're here. It's a little worried, but not scared. What do you do?
So, is this ward like physically attached to an object, or is it just like there?
Well, now that you're aware of it, um, it feels like it's covering a quite a large space, actually. Um, it's it's uh most of this school academy type place. Covers a fairly large footprint. Um, like a block in diameter. What do you do?
So it's like it's pretty wide, and I like noticeably like feel it. Um,
And the Dominion has been here not so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
and what? Just to be clear, what do you fully mean by ward?
Okay. You're getting a look and a feel at this magical construct. Okay. Um, hmm. You think it could keep a spirit out of a certain area or a spirit in a certain area, but it's not like metaphysically it's not this big thick wall. It's more like if you went around with skunk spray, you went around your backyard and just you put down skunk spray. Okay. Anything inside is not going to want to go near the skunk spray. Ugh, blah. Anything on the outside isn't going to want to approach it. Okay. A line of skunk spray across the ground will not stop you from walking over it. But if you're like, oh my gosh, what is that smell? I'm not going over there. That's gross. So it's sort of a metaphysical, don't pass this line. Okay. It's a discourager, so to speak. So there's definitely an inside and an outside, and it's discouraging crossing the line from both directions. Also on the inside, it's got some detection properties. Um, since all four of you are currently on the inside of this barrier, whoever set it up might know you're here. Um,
And as Will said earlier, Dominion was here not terribly long ago.
hmm
So if it is a detection sensor,
hmm
somebody could be on the way here now that we've been here, or it's like a magical barrier to protect or keep something in, or
Right.
entice it to not leave.
Here's a data point for you. The kind of barracksy area and the place where they were storing carts and wagons is not inside this ward. It's outside of it.
Probably not Dominion.
So something beforehand.
hmm Which might lead to a different person who's probably quicker to respond, and is probably why maybe the Dominion decided to leave. because there weren't really, either they were done here or something encouraged them to leave, and maybe this was one of the things that added on to it. Okay.
So what do you do?
I think I'm gonna definitely relay that to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Think that it could have been like a triple arm.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Ranvir's curiosity is definitely piqued by this. I think he's maybe gonna try to, I don't know, focus on it more, try to find out anything.
Okay. So when you're saying you're focusing on it more, are you looking for an exact shape? Are you looking for maybe any additional properties? Are you looking I mean, are you looking for intensity? Tell me what sort of answers you're looking for.
Probably additional properties.
Additional properties. Okay. Um it's really subtle. If you hadn't had all your senses wide open to it, you probably wouldn't have noticed it. And the fact that you were looking for spirits, um, when you went through it, even the spirits that are with you kind of drag their heels. We don't really want to go that. Okay, now that we're past that, we're inside now and we're okay. But we don't really want to go out. Again, it's kind of a discourager, but it's subtle. Um, and sometimes subtle magic takes a lot more energy than the big booms. It's also elegant. This is not some wild mage sorcerer who just hit bashed a detection slash protection spell and stomped around and did it. This was a well crafted, um, well placed, well designed construct. Um, and one other piece of information, it's got a cycle attached. Um, Based on its intensity, you think it has to be renewed every year. And you're thinking it's related somehow to sunlight. And midsummer was like a month and a half ago. So somebody has placed or replaced this ward construct sometime in the last couple months. What do you do?
I think I might. So if I say cast my light spell,
Mm-hmm.
could it possibly testing to see would it like reinvigorate? Kind of like a
You don't think you currently have the capacity or the knowledge to um, cast this kind of a spell. And it might even be a ritual. In fact, the more you look at it, it's like, yeah, it took a lot of energy to ward this much space, and it took a lot of energy to keep it from being obvious. Oh, yeah. Now that you're really digging into the nuts and bolts of it, you're like, no, this took a team. There had to be somebody in charge of it, focusing and shaping everything. But this would have taken more energy. If they were going to do it as a ritual, this would have taken more energy than a single person could gather easily. It doesn't have any stink of like blood magic or like necromancy, like soul magic. Um, so yeah, you'd need a small team of dedicated individuals pouring their magical energies and essences into this construct. So, and that happened again in the last month or so. Xander, your estimate on the Dominion retreat was over a year ago.
Mm.
So, what do you do?
Obviously, there's another like group who has a stake in this like school,
Hmm.
even if it's like abandoned essentially.
Hmm.
Um, could I look around for like literature on it or anything like physically written down?
What resources are you looking at?
Just more on like in books and stuff about what it is.
Do you have a bag of books?
I do.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, they mention what's the name of the book?
Uh, I guess a compendium on wards.
Oh, the Compendium of Wards. Okay. Um, go ahead and give me a recall roll, please. Hmm. Damn. Um, Mark experience. Okay. Um, the the book you have on wards is part one of a 3-book compilation. Okay. And the irritating thing about these books is they reference the other books. Okay. It's like an example would be this one's on animals, this one's on minerals, and this one's on vegetables. So this is like, oh, this is a rabbit. It eats lettuce. See page 74 in the one on veggies. Okay. This is a deer. It likes to lick salt. For salt, see page 121 of the mineral thing. So it's they're cross-referencing to materials that you don't have. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's informative, but it's really only useful if you've got all of them. So basically you hear about this, you read about this kind of ward. Again, it's a subtle ward. And it's more informational than it is anything else. Basically, it's a combination of tripwire and bug spray. Okay. Anything that crosses in whoever created the spell and anybody involved in the ritual to create it will all know, hey, somebody's here. Okay. If they want to focus their attention on it, they should be able to say they are exactly here. They're within 2 feet of this point or this one or that one. And then the bug spray aspect is, yeah, you got these little spirits and, evil things and tricksters and stuff running around. We're just going to keep them out. Okay. We're just going to, it's like putting down boric acid for ants. Okay. It's not going to stop them, but it'll discourage them heavily. And the book mentions it's also really useful for like wizards and stuff who have like house spirits, like little cleaners and helpers and stuff. If you do that around the outside of the tower, then it keeps your little helpers inside. It gives them an incentive to stay inside as well. But it doesn't tell you anything about who came up with the concept. It doesn't tell you. I mean, it does. It's like, oh, for this you'll want to reference book 2, magical places in the universe, and oh, for that you're going to want to talk about this particular school reference in book 3. Like, so yeah, you're pretty sure you know what you're looking at. You're also pretty sure that you're on somebody's radar right now. What do you do?
I'm probably gonna take that information to the group, saying it's like we should probably get out of here sooner than later. As like I explain what the ward is, it's like that somebody could know where we are at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and until we leave, we're gonna be on their like lookout.
Okay.
Well, we could always act as a welcoming committee, to say the least, to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. While he's looking at all this and Luther's kind of doing the other stuff, could Xander kind of like pull Albrecht aside and see if they could like, instead of searching up for stuff inside, kind of do like a perimeter of, okay, what's outside, where might people come from, what's the surrounding area look like, just kind of up our preparation.
Oh, okay. So you want to do an assessment, a defensive assessment of this place.
Yeah.
Okay. Easily enough. Which one of you two has got the higher sharp?
I think he does probably.
0.
0. Yeah, we're both at 0.
Okay. Which one of you has more blood with the other one?
I have 2 with you, Albrecht.
I only have the 1.
Okay.
Okay.
So Albrecht, go ahead and roll your sharp, please. And Brother Xander, please roll your blood with Albrecht to see if you can give him a bonus. Oh, damn, that's a +2. And Albrecht, you needed it.
Thank.
Okay, 8.
Oh.
8. So, let's see. Oh, okay, that'll be interesting. All right, so what happens is you're both sussing the place for defensive capability. Mixed bag. You've got a lot of approaches to this place. And it would take a number of lookouts to keep an eye on all of them. You put your heads together and you figure there would be a couple of good ways to have eyes on a couple of the approaches, one of which you could use as a retreat. Okay, so if you can keep eyes north and south, if anything comes from north and south, you know it. If something attacks anyway, you've got a good eye on running like hell to the north. Okay, so you come up, it ain't perfect, but you come up with some good observation points, and a clear pathway out should all else fail. In case the bad guys are coming straight down your exit route, however, you do have a secondary. Okay, so you think you can keep an eyeball on things, and you think you can get out quick if you need to. That's when Xander, you feel like you're being watched, and um when you what's the shiniest piece of equipment that you have, Xander? Is it your shield? Is it your
It's
blade?
it's for sure the chest plate.
What would be the second shiniest? Something that you could move around a little easier.
Um, probably the sword.
Okay. So you got your sword out, poking around. You you think you hear something behind you, and as you're standing there with your blade, you turn it, and it's just reflective enough. You see a shape. There's the area here is like those thin plates, like the flagstones are these large irregular shapes cut out of slate. Um, and one of them is up about this high behind you, and you feel like somebody's looking out from under it. What do you do?
I'm gonna nudge Albrecht and very loudly say, "Hey, I think we should go inside now and go talk to Ranveer really quick. I think he's looking into this place," and just start to like walk as if we don't know you're there, but we're about to go tell our, I don't know you're there. I'm going inside. Nothing's changed. Nothing is really different. Like
Okay.
kind of my. I don't want to take my guard down, but I want to leave it down enough that I appear like
Okay.
I don't know they're there.
Okay.
Should I
Perfect.
should I do anything to see if Albrecht actually picks up on what you're meaning? Because as far as he knows, you're just saying this out loud just to go back inside.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, I mean, do you think you'd understand if I like gave you like a quick like nudge and a look, or
Probably.
Okay.
okay?
All right. So when you glance over that flooring piece is fully back in position, and if you hadn't like seen it up, you wouldn't know that it came up. Um, so you head back to join the others. What do you do?
I think once we get inside, I'm gonna like quickly pull Ranveer and be like, all right, there's someone outside. There's people watching us. I don't know what you found, and I think that's when could that be when like you start telling us, hey, I know about this magic thing. I've been doing the research thing. Where's Luther? Because is Luther around so that we can grab him really quick?
Yeah, Luther's been going up and down all over, climbing stairs and looking in cabinets and things. He was gone for a while, but now he's back. His lantern smells odd, but the flame is burning very nicely. Oh, you probably haven't noticed this, Luther. Everybody else does, though. The flame is burning with a decided purplish tint.
Interesting.
So, alrighty. Um, so Xander passes on the information that there's people looking at you. You describe the location, and Ranveer tells you that's inside the ward. Um, oh, you get a good look. You go up a little higher and look out the window. You realize, Ranveer, there are these major like pathways. Here's the cobblestone that leads to the front gates, and here's the one that goes off to here, and here's the ward follows the outline, the biggest outline. Take your college, take your closest local college, get a map, look down at it. If you outline all the buildings and all the walkways just on the very outside, there's going to be things that gap into it. This one parking lot is 3/4 the way in, it would go around it. But basically, anywhere that people normally walk and any buildings that anyone goes into is inside that ward. So that's a gimme. And we are currently at 5:55 p.m. Eastern Standard, gearing up on 6 o'clock, our projected end time. So, mystery, magical wards created or reinforced sometime in the last couple of months. The mysterious dominion in and out of several locations. Um, Fairly ubiquitous, now gone. Where are the bugs? What are they doing? Who is the tinker? How do the rat folk have to play into any of this? You don't know. So, let's start with motivations. Everybody check your motivation. See if you hit your motivational goal this session. And again, as a quick reminder to our viewing public, motivations are what other games might call alignment. However, it's always attached to a goal. If I am good, that means I protect those weaker than me. And if I protect those weaker than me in a session, I get extra experience for it. Also, players, if your motivation goal has been helpful to you, but you're just not hitting it very often, if it's giving you some insight into the character, but you're just saying, I'm supposed to destroy an unnatural evil, and we just haven't run into a lot of unnatural evils, dang it. Talk to me about it offline and we can switch motivations. All right, show of hands. Who hit their motivation? Couple? Okay, great. Next up, keys. Your keys. Viewing public keys are negative personality quirks that typically cause problems for others. They can be triggered on purpose or accidentally by other players or the environment. For instance, curious. Curious is a key. You tell the thief, hey, nobody's ever been into the pine forest of peril before and survived. And they go, yes, I'll be the first. Dunk, 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 because they're curious. Did anybody hit your key this time around? Oh, the not
Yep.
trusting a knave? Yes, yes, you did. Yes. So mark XP for that. Next up, blood. Blood. Again, for the viewing public, blood is relationships. It's your attitudes about the other characters. You don't have to love them. You don't even have to like them. But you do know them, and you know which way they can zig or zag. That has a mechanical benefits because you can roll plus whatever blood you have with somebody. Also, if that relationship changes appreciably, you resolve blood and get experience for that. Everybody look at your blood with the other characters, please. Did anybody find any blood to resolve this time around? Any major changes in attitude?
I think it's been a long enough time that Xander is going to resolve the blood with Albrecht, and I'm looking at our new one right now. But I had one
Was
with
the old one?
Albrecht, which was brings trouble with them wherever they go. Um, and I think it's been a long enough period of time. Albrecht hasn't really done anything too crazy. Um, I feel like Xander's like, okay, Albrecht seems kind of cool now. He's been, making
Yeah,
sure we're
and
okay and that kind of
and
thing.
not only hasn't he been a problem, he's been part of a solution a couple of
Yeah.
times too. So, okay. So, are you going to form the new blood with Albrecht or with somebody else?
I think I will, and I think I'll continue along with the is a better soul than they let on, kind of like with what I have with Luther, because I feel like, in my mind, I feel like that's the natural progression,
Hmm.
and if Luther doesn't do anything crazy, he might become a great friend. Who knows? But for right now, I think he's still just a better soul than he lets on.
Okay. So again, was the new one with Albrecht or with
Albrecht.
okay, okay. So something like he's a better soul than he lets on. He's good to have at your elbow in a fight. I trust him with my back. I trust him with my life. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Um, Albrecht, do you have any issue with any of those characterizations from Xander?
At the moment, I do not think so.
Okay, beautiful. If that changes, let us know. Did anybody else resolve any blood this time around? Okay, cool, cool. We'll work on that. All right, then the big three. Did you defeat a noteworthy opponent? No. Did you recover a noteworthy treasure?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, you did. Everybody mark 1 XP. And did you learn something new about the nature of the universe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. So everybody mark XP for that. Um, and let's see. You haven't established that this is a safe enough place to let your guard down to level up. So if you have accumulated enough XP to do that, level up might have to hold on. And finally, last but not least, we're going to do gold stars. For those watching, gold stars are can be role playing rewards, can be happy to have you around awards, can be given for any reason or no reason. Every player gets a gold star that they get to give to another player in the game. So let's start. Who Ranver, you were making a lot of failed rolls today, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So you get to start this off. Who gets your gold star today?
Um, I think Luther does.
Luther, really?
Devotion to roleplay definitely was
Yes,
there today.
yes. You do stick to your guns with this character. And that's taken us down some surprising. It's like, oh, I need someone to watch my back. I shall adopt this small dog who will now love me forever. It's just it's like the death knight with the kitten. Oh, we will destroy you utterly, won't we, Mr. Fluffy Buns? Mr. Fluffy Buns will eat your brains. It's like, okay, cool. So you got a soul in there somewhere. Awesome. So, Luther, who gets your gold star for the day?
I'm gonna give mine to Ranveer because I know he's close to leveling up.
Good a reason
So-
as any. Good a reason as any. All right. And Chris, who gets yours?
I think I'll probably also give it to Ranveer, mostly for figuring out all of the magical mumbo jumbo at this
Excellent.
academy area.
Excellent. Again, establishing contact with Tinker, looking around, finding some magical stuff. Again, kind of a mystery. And last but not least, Will, who gets yours?
I'm going with Luther because he kind of was. I really wanted to get into a few places, but I was like, Xander won't want to get into those places. And then Luther came through and was like, yes, I want to go into this place. And I was like, yes, we can go into that place. The
Cool.
garden, I don't think Xander would have gone in if Luther hadn't done the whole burn thing. So I think it was pretty great.
Excellent. All right. And I'm going to award my GM gold star for the evening. I think, Luther, you're going to get this one too. And I'm going to call it an instigation reward. Everyone's like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. Well, we could go over here. Okay, I guess that'd be fun. Well, we know we need to do this. We're kind of flip a coin. And Luther's been like, no, we're just, yeah, I mean, if everybody, no, okay, let's just go over here and do this. So, yes, today, little letters, lowercase, but you made some things happen today. And I appreciate that. All right. Well, that's all for us, folks, here at No Theoretical Bias, the Fortress of Bone storyline, starring our Doty adventurers. Please tune in on our other days and times for the other groups that are running. We currently have another game of Splintered Moon, the post-apocalyptic fantasy that you're enjoying right now. We also have a new one called Brass Horizon, which is a steampunk, mage punk game of all sorts of stuff, exploration, politics, some good old-fashioned swashbuckling, airships, sea monsters. It's going to be a hoot. The party there is just about getting to the big city for the first time. Should be fun. And our other Splintered Moon group, the Pilot's Voyage, they've just recovered a powerful magic item and are seriously considering returning it to a very shady and mysterious construct, mechanical mind by the name of Mengel. So tune in. We'll be broadcasting live from the moon, schedules and calendars. So we hope to see you at any or all of those. As usual, thank you to our faithful viewers for coming by and posting on our chat there. We appreciate you deeply. And tell a friend, bring a friend, be a friend. There are tall ships, there are small ships, there are ships that sail the sea, but the best ship is friendship, and that's good enough for me. All right, folks, good night. Cheers. Game on.